Big trade in sight. Warriors prepare package for Bam Adebayo. Maximum alert. If this exchange goes through, the West will turn inside out today. Those of you who breathe Warriors, and you, Heat fans, know the weight of seeing Steph alongside an elite center. What if that center is Bam Adebayo? In seconds, I'll show you the package that really completes the CBA. Who's in, who's out, how many picks, and the reason that might make Miami listen to the proposal. There's a little talked about scenario that puts Golden State among the favorites, and another tiny detail that could stop everything. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes we'll break down the plan, the impact, and what it would do to the title race. Let's go! If you enjoy direct, no-nonsense analysis, leave a like now and subscribe to the channel. This really helps to bring this video to more fans. Activate the bell so you don't miss the full breakdown of the packages and the surprise scenario at the end. And comment, which exchange would you accept? X, Y, or Z? Let's keep going. Let's talk calmly, as if we were face to face, leaving the noise aside to hear what the game has to say. There are moments in the NBA when facts are not just news. They become doors to understanding character, choices, and the weight of a legacy. Russell Westbrook's arrival at the Sacramento Kings is one of those moments. And, on the other side of the map, the rumor that brings Bam Adebayo closer to the Golden State Warriors immediately provokes that uneasiness that only basketball can awaken. The feeling that the right piece, placed in the right place, can redefine an entire season. I want to walk with you through these two stories without rushing, with the care they require, and with the depth you deserve, because basketball, when looked at closely, is a permanent invitation to see more than the score. I start with Westbrook because there is something deeply human in the way he presented himself. Serene, grateful, aware of time, and at the same time determined to go against it. Talking about the 18th season is not repeating a number, is to recognize a crossing. Few athletes make it this far, and those that do usually have to reinvent themselves more than once. The choice of shirt 18 has a particular beauty precisely because it symbolizes this stage. When he explains that his preferred numbers were not available and admits that it took him a while to choose another, we realize that this is not an aesthetic detail but an intimate synthesis. Which symbol do I carry in my chest when I set out to write another chapter? The number becomes an anchor for the mindset. And mentality, in a sport that punishes distractions and rewards consistency, is worth as much as a fresh leg and a calibrated hand. The question of will this be the last season appears inevitable, but not as a threat or omen. It appears as a mature provocation. Instead of promising goodbyes or bravado, Westbrook talks about family, about fans, about gratitude for waking up every day with the chance to compete. This gesture reveals priorities and, above all, clarifies the type of energy he brings to Sacramento. An energy that does not depend on the score, that is not measured only in statistics, and that is sustained by the silent discipline of professionals who have learned to differentiate urgency from haste. There is something touching about this because sport often teaches us to admire exuberant youth, but long-term discipline is what turns talents into careers. When we look at the court, the fit Sacramento needs doesn't require Westbrook to rewind his prime, and that's freeing. The team asks for intensity, yes, but an intensity that knows how to choose the right time. It asks for secondary creation, that ability to survive the possession when the first action dies and the defense closes the way. It requires leadership that manifests itself in the details, in the closeout made with the correct angle, in the box out that avoids the opponent's second chance, in the extra pass that saves 2 dribbles and accelerates an easy basket. It is in this sum of what barely appears in the spotlight that a good cast becomes dangerous. And Westbrook, with the repertoire of someone who has seen all types of defenses and all types of series, has the tools to give the team that finish. Interestingly, it is in the locker room that this presence tends to be even more valuable. A real veteran doesn't try to own the room. He orders the room, distributing calm and demand in equal doses. It requires training standards, respect for execution, and an honest relationship with responsibility. If we make a mistake, we correct it. If we get it right, we repeat. If we hesitate, we talk. A team that wants to turn flashes into consistency needs exactly that. An internal clock that doesn't get out of whack after a negative sequence, a short memory for mistakes, and a long memory for what works. Westbrook's talk about being blessed is not empty rhetoric. It's a sign that he understands the delicacy of the moment and is willing to wear the shirt even when the game is without floodlights at 10 o'clock at night. And after the press leaves and all that's left is ice, stretching, and video. While Westbrook sets the pace in Sacramento, the opposite coast discusses possibilities that ignite the imagination. Bam Adebayo's idea in Golden State is one of those that makes the debate jump from the drawing board to the imagination without stopping. It's easy to see what's attractive: a defense that gains more width and speed in exchanges, an attack that adds a pivot capable of thinking about the game from the elbow as a passing hub without restricting movement, a team that already values the game without the ball, enhancing cuts, dribble handoffs, and short rolls executed with reading and not with automatism. Basketball, when played well, has an almost musical geometry, and Bam has the kind of sensitivity that speaks to this score. Alongside players who carry elite reads, plays don't just happen, they chain together. Every seduction, however, comes with a price. The rumor involves young assets with an open ceiling, future picks, fine adjustments to the salary bill, and above all, a philosophical decision. What kind of team do we want to be in the next 3 years? Anyone who has competed for a title knows that, after a certain point, the line between boldness and recklessness is very thin. Giving up a young man who could explode tomorrow for a fit that improves the team today is a legitimate calculation, but it needs to be honest. You don't become a candidate because you accumulate names. You become a candidate because you found coherence between talents, roles, and time. Time here is the key word. Time for those who lead, time for development, time for adaptation. And adaptation, even when it is so promising, is still a process. The right question may not be, is it worth it or not, but rather, are we willing to go through the learning curve that comes with it, trusting that the higher ceiling is worth the journey? I want you to visualize for a moment what the offensive dynamic would look like with Bam on the court. Imagine a handoff where he delivers the ball and immediately offers a blocking angle that opens up half a meter for a high-take shot. Imagine a defense in which he recognizes the opponent's advantage a fraction earlier, neutralizes the first option, and forces the second, less efficient option. Imagine, above all, how others benefit from this. The pitcher who receives cleanly, the creator who reads a hesitant second defender, the winger who finds the back door because the help was stuck in doubt. The impact of such a player is not an isolated statistic. It's a chain of better decisions. Now, come back with me to Sacramento and look at the other chain, the one that turns a promising team into a mature team. Westbrook's adjustment isn't about volume, it's about context. It's about choosing possessions where your explosion makes a difference and recognizing when the best play is simple. Quick return, repositioning pass that arrives a second before the closeout. It's about pulling off counterattacks when the opposing defense is vulnerable and, at the same time, slowing down when the game calls for half court. It is, above all, about protecting the team from the emotional fluctuations that bring down series. The frustration with the refereeing, the anxiety that shortens the arm in the free throw, the lack of control that turns a 3-minute drought into a 12-minute hole. A veteran, when he is whole inside, serves as a buffer for these bumps. Perhaps the most exciting point, for those who follow closely, is realizing that these stories run in parallel and illuminate each other. On the one hand, a player whose recent biography is a collection of proof that there is still gasoline left to leave a mark. On the other, a franchise that, even with brilliant chapters written, does not sit back and contemplates reorganizing parts in search of a new competitive peak. In both cases, the message is the same. Whoever wants to win needs to deal well with difficult decisions. And difficult decisions are, by definition, those in which you give up something valuable to try something even more valuable. There are no guarantees. There are convictions. and convictions are sustained by the quality of reasoning, the coherence of actions, and daily discipline. I also like to look at what doesn't appear in the highlighted video, because the margins of victory live there. The routine of someone who is in their 18th season and still arrives early, takes care of their body, studies their opponents, guides their teammates, and agrees to recalibrate their own game is the same routine that, months later, becomes one more offensive rebound, one foul avoided, one turnover less. And the movement of a franchise that aims for a sophisticated technical fit, which speaks to its identity and leverages its best talents, is usually reflected in the way it trains concepts, aligns language, and establishes a standard for nights when the ball doesn't fall. The fan feels the difference. The team that, despite being lackluster, maintains its game plan, and the team that, when the tide goes out, becomes disoriented. The first has a chance to play in May. The second, normally, watch. What makes this moment so interesting is that despite the noise and speculation, the answers will be given on the court, possession by possession. If Westbrook can turn vigor into drive, Sacramento will gain a precious stabilizer. If Bam truly changes gears and lands in a system that speaks to his strengths, Golden State could find an updated version of itself again. In both cases, what matters most is not the headline, but the process. It's the job of taking a second of the opponent's possession without making a foul. It is the angle detail in the indirect block that releases a clean throw. It's the pass that travels the shortest time because someone occupied the right space, on the right side, at the right time. It's the humility to abandon a play that doesn't work, and the courage to repeat the one that works 10 times until the defense gets tired. I want to leave you with questions that are worth more than any guess. Will Westbrook's presence be able to raise the team's psychological standard when the travel season gets tougher and ankles feel heavy? Will Sacramento take advantage of this human capital to accelerate the learning curve of younger players, especially in the final minutes, when every possession is worth its weight in gold? If the movement for Bam evolves, will Golden State pay the right price without hurting his backbone? And, more importantly, will he have the patience to go through the adaptation, trusting that the sum of basketball IQ will compensate for the adjustment time? Will there be space on the human side for personalities to meet, listen to each other, and build a common language that can withstand the inevitable setbacks of a long season? These questions are not unattainable carrots ahead. They are compasses. They guide decisions in Tuesday afternoon training, in the early morning flight after a back-to-back, in the 20-minute video in which the team chooses what to cut from the opponent. And they also guide us, as those watching, to value what really sustains victories. Fan joy does not require naivety, needs understanding. The understanding that invisible adjustments in November turn into cold-bloodedness in April, that choosing a jersey number can be an intimate commitment to greatness, that trade rumors only make sense when they serve an identity, not the anxiety of the day. I know you watch everything closely. I know that when you hear an athlete talk about family and gratitude, you realize that there is a rare emotional structure there. I also know that when you imagine a versatile center being integrated into a system that breathes movement and reading, you understand why the entire league is listening. These are movements that require imagination, but demand method. They ask for courage, but they demand serenity. Above all, they ask for respect for the game, that silent judge that sooner or later separates exciting projects from winning ones. As the season unfolds, we will have nights of brilliance and nights of containment. We will have sequences that seem to confirm everything and others that challenge the ready-made narrative. This is how it needs to be. Basketball is alive and, therefore, magnetic. What we can do now, as the steps align, is keep the conversation at the level the game deserves, without impulsive euphoria, without lazy skepticism, with passion, yes, but with discretion. With expectation, yes, but with a sense of process, with courage to change when it makes sense, and with conviction to sustain when it is right to insist. I want to continue this conversation with you. I want to know how you see the influence of a veteran who decides, by will and character, to be part of the solution every day. I want to hear your vision for a fit that, on paper, appears to meet the needs of someone who dreams big and has proven they can execute big. Above all, I want us to follow the development of events together, understanding the logic behind decisions and celebrating, when deserved, the fruits of a job well done. because in the end, that's what makes the NBA what it is. The meeting between talent and idea, sweat and intelligence, present and future. And it is in this meeting, more than in the rumors, that the seasons are decided. Before leaving, let me make a direct and blunt invitation. If you want to go beyond the rumor, the tweet, and the headline, and truly understand how each Warriors adjustment changes the fate of the season, from the handoff that frees up the shot to the rotation that decides a series, you need to dive into Playlist, Warriors Analysis Now. There I break down the system, compare scenarios with and without an organizing pivot, simulate rotations for big games, explain the impact on the cap, and show, move by move, how the right fit turns good ideas into victories. Don't leave it for later. The next episode is already waiting for you with clipboard reading, video cuts, and objective projections for each quintet combination. Click on the card above or on the link in the description and come with me to marathon the series that separates hype from reality. And sign up, turn on notifications, and, most importantly, comment on your vision so we can build together the definitive analysis of this season. Gone Playlist, Warriors Analysis. Press play, and let's turn this game around now.